Well, hello. Hi. I'm Gail Carriger. Think I'm live. Oh, I see an eyeball. Hello, eyeball. uh, this is my live video for November, where I am going to talk about the reading order for my books, which is a hotly contested and discussed subject since I have a lot of them and they're sort of all over the place in one big sandbox. Hi, Katie. So I am going to do that. And then because it is November, which means it is NaNoWriMo, I thought we could talk about craft of writing series, writing a lot of books in one universe, or any other questions you might have that are exciting to you right now. As ever, I love it when you tell me where you're tuning in from, but please don't feel like you have to. I just really like to know because it makes me feel special to reach tendrils out all over the world. That's one of the great joys of doing something like this digitally. Oh, South Australia, my goodness. I am seeing comments, so apparently when I'm my regular non-page identity, I don't see comments, and when I'm here like this, I do see comments, so that's exciting. Nice to see comments, but I'm getting very nearsighted in my old age, so if I lean forward like this, it's because the comments are small. So, right, we are going to jump into the questions I always get right off the bat, which is what lipstick I'm wearing. Today I am wearing, of all things, a Vaseline Intensive Therapy colored lip balm in Kissing Red. And then I have a Appleberry lip oil top coat on it. This is a Korean product. I love both of these, but I have to say, if they last the full length of this live, I'll be surprised. So yeah, they're not permanent in any way. So they're really just for like this kind of thing where I'm just gonna be in front of you with gorgeous lips for 45 minutes or an hour or so and then leave. Hello, Melbourne. Oh, this is so exciting. The other question I always get is what tea am I drinking? And my teacup. So this teacup is just a little cheapy. I think these are probably from like the 60s or 70s. This probably came from a set of some kind. Oh, she says that she spills water all over herself. Oh, that was a failure. Maybe I should drink some of my tea before I talk about the teacup that's in. Today I'm actually drinking a green tea. I've been told by my doctor that maybe I should drink more green tea and less black tea. So I am drinking a fruity green tea. I don't really love fruity black teas, but I really like fruity green teas. And this one is this organic passion fruit green tea. I highly recommend it. It's really good, like a really not fake, really fresh, honest passion fruit flavor, and then a really nice mild green tea, not too grassy. So yeah, it's delicious. I recommend it. I happen to love passion fruit. It's my favorite fruit, so I spoiled myself with it. It's not cheap, but the container's really good. It like actually has a tight seal and everything. So I think in part you're paying for a really cute marketing and packaging, but it's also a really tasty tea. So there it is. Those are the questions I get all the time. And now, without further ado, I'm going to jump into the Parasolverse reading order as I tend to recommend it. And then after that, we'll do some questions. So here we go. This presentation, obviously, because it's physical, is going to be with my physical books. So this is for like print readers. Digital readers, you can parse out and get a lot of these things separately. But with that, let's start. So actually, the first story in the Parasolverse is in this print edition. That story is a short story called The Curious Case of the Werewolf That Wasn't, and it features Alexia's father, Alessandro. Alexia is the main character in the Parasol Protectorate series. So that short story is actually bundled in this book. A lot of people don't know that. I don't do print versions of my short stories except when they're bundled, and that's just because short stories are too short to do an actual print edition. They're only like 15 pages or something, so there's no like binding capacity for that except for like small weird little printing presses, and I looked into that and it just didn't seem serviceable. So if you want to read that short story in print about Alexia's dad, it is in the back of this book. And I just bundled it with it so that I could say, if you want to read it in print, that's where it is. But this book actually, chronologically belongs somewhere else. So we'll stick that there for now. So then the next series is a series is going to be the Finishing School series, chronologically. And so I actually tend to recommend people read it first, even though it is actually the second series that I wrote. This is my, to date, only long-form young adult series. And it starts with Etiquette and Espionage, and then it goes to Curtsies and Conspiracies, and then Waistcoats and Weaponry. That's number 3. And the last one is Manners and Mutiny. Now, originally, these books were actually named, the titles were all alphabetical. So Etiquette and Espionage was going to be actually the second book in the series, and Curtsies and Conspiracies would have been number 1. I know that's confusing, but and there were also different titles for a couple of them, but my publisher had me retitle them and mix things around. So Etiquette and Espionage is the first one in that series. There is only 4 in the series, and that's partly because I grew up on Tamora Pierce, and she wrote her best-known YA series, the Alana series, or most of them, as groups of 4. And so I tend to think of young adult books as groups of 4. And I also sold the whole series to the publisher at the same time. So that allowed me to really write a full treatment and a full arc for them. So this is also the first of my series that was actually written as a full series from start to finish. So that's that reading order. Then after that come the Delightfully Deadly books. These are novel length and novella length. They used to just be novella, but they've gotten longer. And they feature the Finishing School characters grown up, the side characters mostly. So, and the first one in that is Poison or Protect. And these take place, so these ones take place in the 1850s. These ones mostly take place in the 1860s. The second one is Defy or Defend, and the third one is Ambush or Adore, which just came out and doesn't have a print edition yet. But Ambush or Adore is kind of a weird case because it actually goes from the Finishing School series all the way through the whole scope of the Parasolverse. So it's kind of like a full scope retrospective because it follows the characters from when they're 10 years old to when they're in their 60s. So, but technically that book is part of this series. So these guys come next, the Delightfully Deadly books, and they're all standalones. So you don't have to read them in any kind of order. They're not written intentionally that way. They're actually intentionally written as standalones. So I have fan service here because fan service contains another short story. It contains the short story Meet Cute. Meet Cute is the prequel short story to the Parasol Protectorate series. It also only exists in digital form except bundled in this special edition from Subterranean. This is hard to get a hold of, but if you want to read Meet Cute in print, you can only find it in this book. For now. Someday I might put all of my short stories together in a collection, but I still don't have enough of them. So it might happen that you'll get a short story collection that's all Parasolverse short stories that's in print so that you can have them all easily. I just have to write enough of them. I don't write a lot of short stories. I don't consider it my personal strength as an author. But if you want to read Meet Cute, it's in here. We'll put that one away because it's confusing. Then this is in the wrong place. This is in the wrong place. See, even I get confused. Then we have the big guns, right? So after Meet Cute comes Soulless. Soulless was the first book I ever had published traditionally. It is the first book of the Parasol Protectorate series. I originally wrote it as a standalone, but during contract negotiations, they wanted more. So I pitched it with the second book. And that was how my whole career started. It's this series here, and I have the box set because it's just easier to show y'all. It starts with Soulless, and then goes to Changeless. Those were the first two books that I ever sold. Changeless was actually my first book to hit the New York Times. Soulless did, but later on a re-release. It's complicated. Then I left Changeless with a cliffhanger, which freaked my editor out. So she demanded that I write a third one, so I wrote Blameless. And then in Blameless, at that point I had so many threads that I got another contract for 2 more books. So it was never intended to be a 5-book series, but that's how it ended up. And I do feel like I tied it up pretty good at the end of Timeless. So that is how the Parasol Protectorate series came into existence. So that comes next. After the Parasol Protectorate series comes Romancing the Inventor. This is a standalone, and so far the only one that I've written that occurs in the 1870s. And it features really popular side character Madame LeFou, the French inventor character, and I left her thread kind of up in the air a little bit in the Parasol Protectorate series, so I decided that I needed to give her her happy ending and everything in this book, so that's where it fits in the chronology, and that's where I recommend you read it, because most people want to know what happened to Madame LeFou when they finish the Parasol Protectorate series. So there's that. Tinkle, tinkle, tinkle. Yes, I have a, oh, flying books. All right, then is the Custard Protocol series. The Custard Protocol series I wrote only as a 2-book contract for the first 2, and then had a bunch of negotiations for the second 2. So I actually wrote these 2 books, which are technically the first 2 of a 4-book series, to stand together. So they really work as a duology. And they're both told from Prudence's perspective. And Prudence is the spin-off this is the spin-off generation from the Parasol Protectorate. So those 2 go together in my head anyway. And then there's a little baby, like, novella snippet that comes into play. So then Romancing the Werewolf kind of actually fits in the middle of the Custard Protocol series, because I was in the middle of contract negotiations and I didn't want to leave you with nothing to read, so I wrote a couple of like fillers. So that's where this one came in, and it's the story of what's going on back in England while these people are like running around the globe. What's going on back in London with the werewolves that we all know and love. So that's what the Romancing the Werewolf, and also How to Marry a Werewolf. So both of these books cover like what's going on in London during the course of events of the Custard Protocol. So they're kind of like simultaneous. So you can read them in the middle, or you can read them after the whole Custard Protocol series ends, which brings us to the final 2 books in the Custard Protocol series, which are these 2. These are the UK covers, because they're the right size and easy for me to access. So the next book technically is this one, which is Competence, which has a different point of view character, and then the last one is this one, which is Reticence, which again has a different point of view characters, and these 2 kind of go together again, but this is basically the end of the Custard Protocol series. And so that's the reading order. So I know this is really complicated, and you can just Google Gail Carriger reading order and it's all set out for you, including all of my other series, which technically don't belong in this universe, but may or may not tie to it. So there it is. Ta-da! 12 years of my life in written form. And now I'm gonna have some tea.